I tried to make it super clear when I left that if Madvent was going to continue, someone else would need to pick up the reins. Unfortunately, it seems the world needed to miss a year of Madvent for that fact to sink in, and for someone to consider becoming the new director. It started as lamentation over Madvent being missing, to some members of the community replying, "Be the change you want to see in the world." And that led Alex Crute to taking up the mantle. There was some healthy trepidation about their ability to pull it off. Alex wasn't exactly an active member of the community at that point, and they didn't really have any experience in game development, but they wanted to learn and had a passion for Madvent. Based on my own experience, I know running a collab required a very different set of skills than making games. So even without that history, I had faith they could make it happen if their passion could galvanize the other members of the community. And thankfully, that seems to be how it went. The Haunted PS1 community did what the Haunted PS1 community does. Members with skills that Alex didn't have came together with like-minded passions to see another Madvent happen, and through the power of collaboration, now we have one. So let's take a look and see what bounty this Madvent has wrought. I'd say it's become a bit at this point, as every year the first game of Madvent is RIIIIP. It's a divisive series, as they can be quite difficult when you don't know what you're doing. Generally, RIIIIP has you stumbling your way through level after level, looking for the exit, which is usually hiding behind a wall or floor that you can tear like tissue. What makes RIIIIP 5 stand out over the rest is a train car motif, which is used for some really interesting visuals. I wonder though, after RIIIP 4, will I ever be able to enjoy a RIIIP the same way again? It may have seemed simple, but the graveyard really grounded the experience and made me feel like I was progressing towards something. Every level, a piece closer to unlocking the end, and what an unsettling and cryptic end it was. I'm probably just putting a lot on the shoulders of RIIIP 5 as I follow up to RIIIP 4. I worry future RIIIPs will keep this simpler formula of just being a few new locations to gawk at each year, and don't get me wrong, the artistry on display is incredible. I'm just left a little disappointed. I think every RIIIP prior felt like it was building and expanding what a RIIIP could be, and RIIIP 5 felt like the first one that's just sort of a lateral move, if not a step back. Like, it's all to say that RIIIP 5 is a fine game. It's on par with most of the series. I just simply mourn that we didn't get a RIIIP that rips as hard as 4 did. Incredible style and presentation. You play as a puppet in a personal puppet show for a detective trying to solve a murder mystery. The controls are a bit wonky, moving around is perfectly fine, but to pick things up, you need to click, then waggle your mouse over the thing you want to interact with, and some things are on the ground and require you to scroll your scroll wheel to crouch down. It's not uncommon to reach for something in the game and not really register what you wanted to do. If there was any sort of pressure in this game, it would probably lead to a lot of frustration, but thankfully, since you take things at your own pace, it's just mildly inconvenient. The objects you can grab are also physics items that sometimes get clipped into and then go wonky right off the map. It's a good thing the devs anticipated this and have the items reset to the center of the screen. Most of the actual gameplay is reading dialogue, but there are some light inventory puzzles throughout the game. Some require you to examine items a bit closer, and outside of the unique but janky interaction system, the gameplay works to deliver the narrative. The narrative itself is solid. While the murder is a mystery to the detective, I don't really feel the story is a mystery to the player. Maybe I'm just too steeped in these types of stories, but I felt like I knew where the story was going at every turn. There weren't really any unexpected twists. But I'm not really knocking the game for that. I heard it was the team's first attempt at doing a narrative-focused game, and while the story is cliched, the style and presentation elevate the experience into something super interesting. Honestly, it's such a cool experience, I think it's going to be a tough act to follow up. Fuck. So this is my entry. Believe it or not, I actually struggled to figure out what I was going to do for my Madvent entry for most of the year. All I knew was that I wanted it to be a Bitey-centric game, a little something for folks who enjoy her and the cast of characters we've built over all the collabs. For a long while, I was thinking of just having Bitey, Sonia, Scully, and Mook Spook catch up in a bar and focus on the vibes, but while consulting the Madvent 5 launcher crew, they mentioned their idea for the canon for why Christmas is still happening even though the North Pole is destroyed. Something to do with Santa and the elves escaping to the South Pole, and that the story of how Christmas was saved could be told another time. And so I was like, fuck it, let's tackle that. That sounds like fun. And so here we are, a 3D platformer starring Bitey as she works for Santa. As with all releases, it didn't come out quite as I hoped. I wanted there to be 2 levels instead of just the 1, and I was anticipating there to be music, all this other stuff, yada yada. But I'm happy to see that the 2 core audiences, Bitey fans and 3D platformer fans, have mostly enjoyed it. Plenty of critiques, definitely things to fix for the full release. Speaking of the full release, go wishlist it on Steam if you haven't already. This game is unknowable. Very esoteric. Took me a long while to figure out that right click was the interaction key, but once I figured out how to play, I talked to some sea lizard at the bottom of the spawn, and they gave me a floppy disk to go save memories before the world sank into the ocean. Exploring I go, every which way. See a fish, whack a fish. Fish beats me up. I see a cat, steal all its yarn, talk to the cat. They seem pretty chill with the whole dissolving into the sea and say I can have the yarn. Whack the cat and it kills me. Reset the game. Try a different route, climb up a bunch of jumps, get to a bar, steal a painting that I'm later told that I can have anyway, accidentally press left click too many times and whack the thing behind the bar. He destroys me instantly. Third time I try to fill up my disc, and once I do, a really neat FMV plays, and then the game resets. Feels like there's a lot more I didn't see, and I don't think I ever will. Uncertain if there's more to find other than esoteric ponderings from character and interesting items that belong to them. And honestly, I don't think the game needs to be anything more than that. It was an experience. Not quite what's advertised based on the name and the description, but the actual game we got inside is a pretty cozy short story about someone getting ready for Christmas. Probably one of the highlights of the game is that you could just walk out the front door and fall into the void. No kill trigger under the map to reset you. Don't forget your kill triggers, kids. Hopefully they make the game that they had in their head someday. If they do, I look forward to playing it. So day 6 sees us working as some sort of barista in an authoritative dystopia. I got to play an earlier build of this a while back, and while I'm glad to say they really improved the experience from that initial build, there are still fundamental aspects about the control scheme that are super unwieldy and make the game far more difficult than it needs to be. Namely the interaction and inventory system, which unfortunately make up the core loop of gameplay. The reason it's so bad is sort of two-pronged. The minor problem is the interaction you want most of the time is the second interaction and not the default interaction. But the major reason the system feels unwieldy is that the buttons to change the interaction you do and the buttons to change your inventory slot are one and the same. So you can't change inventory slots when you're looking at something, which is frustrating when you just want to put a cup on the machine, but now you gotta look to the floor, fumble your finger onto the slot, then look back, and then you can set it down. It's even worse if you don't know that's what the problem is, and so you just think the game's kind of broken. I really wish the interaction selection was chosen with a scroll wheel. It'd still be annoying to switch to the default interaction every time I wanted to do anything, but it'd be less annoying than having to fumble with the keys. While the game is incomplete, I'm glad they included it in Madvent. I just hope that if they continue to make a full version, they'll rework their core interactions from the ground up. As is, there doesn't seem to really be anything to work up to, and the game just sort of ends when you make 4 mistakes. Which unfortunately is pretty unlikely, since once you kind of get into the rhythm and the groove of how to make this work, there's no real escalation of difficulty. So overall, just as a Madvent should be. A real grab bag of games, each with something special to love. I'm excited to see what the next 6 days bring. In the meantime, like, comment, subscribe, go buy my game, wishlist the other 2. Yeah.